Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to K4 Mobility's June webinar. We're just getting started. We'll wait a little bit as people log in. I think we'll get started here at 4 minutes. Just give some people some time. Everyone's still waking up. Okay, hello. Welcome to K4's June 2022 webinar. My name is Jared Simon. I'm the Director of Hardware Products here at K4 Mobility. Thanks for joining us today. On today's call, I'll be speaking, giving an overview of our company and our products, some of our products and services, and you'll also hear from Justin Smith, who will be doing a deep dive into our EdgeOne Cellular router. And for Q&A, we have some distinguished contributors. Brian Lauer, our CTO, Mark Malash may join us, the Senior VP of Operations, and Robert Blackman, our Director of Technical Operations, will be there as well to answer any questions that you may have. So I'll start off with the agenda. We're going to begin with a company overview and our mission. I'll explain K4 Edge as a service, KaaS, and what it can do for you. We'll jump into the EdgeOne Cellular router, giving you an overview of the hardware and the design. We'll go through the configuration and the use as well, including WAN and LAN management, and then look at some specific use cases and how you can use this very flexible device, and then answer any questions that you may have before wrapping up. So throughout the webinar, feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions. We'll do our best in the Q&A section. So first off, who are we? We're K4 Mobility, technology company whose mission and vision is to make access to wireless internet easy. We say wireless internet, that means all wireless links to the internet, satellite-based, terrestrial wireless, 4G, 5G, any way you can connect, we're going to make it easy. K4 was founded 3 years ago by entrepreneurs and wireless pioneers who built and grew GoGo, the in-flight Wi-Fi company. But this time we decided to start with the maritime market, as the market is much bigger and the connectivity needs are more acute. K4 is primarily focused on software that optimizes connectivity. We've developed an intuitive and scalable network management platform called the K4 Edge, which bridges the gap between network planning and bandwidth management, and it scales seamlessly from a single vessel to an entire fleet. We also offer integrated hardware to run our software. These are packaged solutions with the highest performing antennas and modem systems. We found that the market was moving towards integrated hardware and software solutions, but it just wasn't moving quickly enough. So we've developed hardware to improve efficiency in finding and selecting the best available network. We do offer traditional bandwidth subscriptions as well, and blended cellular and satellite airtime packages. But as a platform, we support distribution partners that provide their own subscription plans to customers. This three-tiered approach has really let us understand the challenges in the maritime industry in providing internet, and we'd like to show you how you can use K4's Edge to optimize your operations. So the K4 Edge as a service, KaaS, is the focal point of all of K4 Mobility's offerings. This is a scalable network management platform enabling enterprises to couple traditional network security and access controls with precise bandwidth management, configurable remotely through an intuitive interface and a convenient mobile app. The K4 Edge platform is composed of 3 primary service elements: an EdgeOS node, which is a controllable physical interface through which network traffic passes, the cloud service portal, a web-based service for analytics, metrics, and administration, and the Connect mobile app, K4 Edge, which is the client interface for management of EdgeOS nodes. All of this starts from Connect, the application for automated remote access and management, making it simple to connect to any individual client or to manage a fleet of vessels from a single intuitive interface. Like competitive products, K4 provides powerful firewall controls and SD-WAN LAN configuration capabilities, content filtering and access through role definition with routing and QoS capabilities, and even down to the packet level, we can inspect packets and can filter, route, and report usage on usual categories like domain, application, source, or individual IP address. K4's solution integrates wireless internet service and bandwidth orchestration at its core. It's structured to leverage existing setups and scale to multiple deployed systems, giving greater visibility and control while reducing effort and overall diagnostic time. K4 uses consolidated machine learning data from each EdgeOS node to inform algorithms that can dynamically choose the best network across the globe, doing the hard work of network characterization and selection. And paired with our optional bandwidth offerings, it gives users the flexibility to quickly choose the level of service that fits the needed bandwidth. Paired together, these distinctions make managing a single vessel or a fleet of vessels simple and proactive, resulting in lower operational costs with improved reliability and better performance. And now, to guide you through some of the functionality and features of one of our EdgeOne nodes, the EdgeOne Cellular router, here's our Director of Solutions Engineering, Justin Smith.
Thanks, Jared. So, as Jared said, my name is Justin Smith. I'm the Director of Solutions Engineering here at K4 Mobility. So today we're going to go over a couple things. We'll go over what's in the box when you receive your EdgeOne. We'll go over some of the hardware design, and then we'll go over WAN and LAN management items with the EdgeOne, and then go through a few use cases, and then wrap it up with Q&A. So what's in the box when you receive your EdgeOne? You'll receive the EdgeOne Cellular router. Actually, you'll also get 2 cellular reference antennas. You can also connect your own, and actually we prefer that for the cellular. You'll get 2 Wi-Fi antennas in the box as well. So these antennas will also, help you get connected fairly quickly and get up and running right out of the box. You'll also receive an Ethernet to USB converter. This is typically going to be used for connecting the VSAT management interface if you need to do that, or with our flexible interfaces, you can use it for other uses as well. You'll also have the quick start guide. So if you have any questions, you can refer to that when you receive your unit, which should have all the things you need to get started fairly quickly. Every Edge unit, once it's produced, also comes with a test report. So you can rest assured that the unit is going to be fully functional and capable. So you can refer to that if you need to. There's also a 12-volt DC power adapter with the international converters in the box as well. So if you have different power plugs on the vessel, we should have something in the box for you. So now once you get that out of the box, let's talk about the actual unit itself. So the EdgeOne is a portable industrial fanless design. So it's about less than a pound, and it has this sort of a fin design on top. And that's going to be the heat sink to help dissipate heat. And that's going to help this unit be a little bit more versatile and work in the challenging sort of maritime environment. So if you have it installed in a IT closet or just a really tight rack, and you may not have great airflow, this unit would be able to survive without any issues because of this design. Okay, so it's not a very large unit. If you can imagine, it sits on top of your hand, and it's not much bigger than that. So it's a very small unit, and that is another thing that helps this unit be a bit more flexible, right? So you can install it up in the bridge if you need to. or you can install it other places throughout the vessel where you might have other IT equipment or network equipment as well. So on the next slide here, we have a list of some of the hardware capabilities and features that's in the unit. We'll go over some of these in more detail throughout the presentation. There's a couple of things to note is, we have the two cellular RF inputs, Wi-Fi as well as GPS, 8 SIM cards, right? We support 8 SIM cards, which is a little more than some of the other devices out on the market today. We have 2 Ethernet interfaces, dedicated Ethernet interfaces, in addition to being able to use that USB to Ethernet adapter. And then in terms of power, like you said, 12 volts DC or 30 watts max, or 100 to 40 volts AC if that is required. So now that we've touched on some of the hardware capabilities and design in the unit, let's get into the WAN management. So the EdgeOne LTE device supports VSAT, Wi-Fi, LTE, and Ethernet as WAN sources. So it's because you can support all of those different WAN sources, it makes the device extremely flexible and versatile. So you can, if you have these different WAN technologies, you can integrate those all together with this EdgeOne LTE device. So let's dig into exactly what it can support. So on the LTE side, there's the Cat12 4G LTE modem. So this is going to help you get connected to the 4G network at fast speed. So you can expect 50, 60 megabit per second in most cases, depending on your connection. We talked about the 8 SIM cards, right? So this is going to help you, no matter where you are in the world, you should have a SIM card that's going to work for you. We support the 3 domestic SIMs here in the US. And then if you need an international SIM in any other parts of the world, you don't have to take those SIM cards out because we have 8 of them in the system. We also support the advanced LTE switching. So we use the GPS data and source that from all of our units that are out in the field. And we use that data to understand when we should be switching LTE providers. So depending on your location, we'll use that data and switch you to the best LTE provider in that area based on data that we've collected from previous trips and other hardware that we have out on the water. We also have a very simple UI for LTE management. So you can actually switch LTE providers. You can look at our performance. You can look at the RSSI, the SNR, all of the stuff that you need. You can also look at throughput as well. You can have all of that information right at your fingertips in a very easy, intuitive dashboard. So you can do what you need to do and get back to your day-to-day. On the Wi-Fi side, we do support Wi-Fi WAN. So this will help you connect to the marina Wi-Fi and use that as a WAN source. Most marinas today will have some sort of Wi-Fi solution. So you don't need a separate access point or Wi-Fi solution. It's all integrated right into the same hardware platform. We do support 802.11ac and all the older standards as well. So you can rest assured that you'll be connecting at fairly fast speeds as well. We do support 2x2 MIMO radios in the hardware as well. So that's going to be multiple input, multiple output, which is going to allow multiple clients to connect to the access point in the unit. And then you can expect up to around 1100 megabit per second throughput across all clients connected to the wireless network. All right. So In addition to the Wi-Fi and LTE, we also support Ethernet and VSAT. So that's Ethernet is going to support basically any Ethernet-based WAN. So if you have a fleet broadband, or if you have the Marina hardline, whether it's fiber, copper, what have you, you can connect that to the EdgeOne LTE unit. Also, if you have proprietary VSAT providers, something that's closed, like a Viasat, as long as it has an Ethernet interface that can hand off to us, we can connect it to the EdgeOne LTE device and still use that as a WAN source. Okay. On the VSAT side, we have full VSAT management support. So we can support any iDirect X7 or IQ200 modems, with additional modems being supported possibly in the future. And so when you connect those modems to the EdgeOne LTE device, we integrate and pull in the data from the modem and the ACU into the dashboard. So you're able to see the data usage, you're able to see RF performance, you'll get a sort of a stoplight type dashboard, those red, green, and yellow, in terms of the performance of the VSAT. So you'll know if the VSAT is up or down. You don't have to leave and log in to another dashboard. One login will give you all the information that you need. But if you want to log in directly into the modem or ACU, we do have one-click access to the modem and ACU right through the same UI. So you'll be able to quickly get to those if you need to. Now that we've touched on Ethernet and VSAT, let's talk a little bit about LAN management. Under the hood, the EdgeOne LTE device is a router. Okay, so we can support most functions that you would expect that a router could do. So we can support up to about 500 clients across multiple VLANs. So if you have a VLAN for voice, if you have one for crew, owner, guest, whatever your needs are, up to 30 VLANs you can create on the EdgeOne LTE router. We also have the flexible Ethernet interfaces, which can allow you to have multiple LAN interfaces if you need those, or if you need two WAN interfaces, you can use the flexible Ethernet interface to do that. We also support advanced QoS. So if you need to block traffic based off of protocol, the platform supports that. So let's say, example, you want to prioritize SIP and voice traffic. That's possible. If you want to limit Netflix traffic or any other type of streaming, you can do that. If you want to limit Facebook and social media, all of that is possible with the advanced QoS support. We can also manage multiple devices on the vessel using the K4 Connect platform, which is supported across all of the K4 hardware. Okay? So this allows you to install an app right on your PC and then set up a connection and gain access to any IP address that's on the vessel without the need to establish a full VPN tunnel. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a bit. Additionally, we have support for the Wi-Fi AP mode. So this is going to allow you to create a Wi-Fi network on the vessel. That's usually something that smaller vessels will do, or if you only need the Wi-Fi network up in the bridge for a larger vessel, then this is an option for you as well. So you can only use it's Wi-Fi AP mode or Wi-Fi WAN mode. You can't use both options together. So that's one thing you want to consider as well. Now that we've touched on the WAN and LAN, let's get into some of the different use cases for the EdgeOne LTE device. So the first use case here is a dedicated LTE solution. So if you have an existing solution from like a PepLink or Cradlepoint, the EdgeOne LTE router is a great replacement for those devices if you're at that point where you want to add in additional capabilities, or you're looking for new features or trying to consolidate a little bit, you can use the EdgeOne LTE for that. So it's a very simple setup process on the EdgeOne LTE. When you take it out of the box, the LAN interface is already configured to support DHCP. So if you have an existing security or device or a router solution in place, as long as you have a WAN interface open, you can plug in the LAN from the EdgeOne LTE device into that existing firewall and pretty much get going. The LTE radios, once connected, you'll have WAN or internet available, and you can get up and running fairly quickly. So this is a great solution for small and large vessels, because whether you're a small vessel and you just have LTE, or you're a large vessel and LTE is only a single part of your WAN solution, the EdgeOne LTE will work well in those scenarios. Additionally, if you need more LTE capacity, you could actually bond multiple EdgeOne units together in a parent-child type of setup, and you'll be able to get more LTE capacity. So you'll get the benefit of 3 LTE radios, and then you can bond all of that traffic together and get more capacity and throughput. So that's one use case that we have as a dedicated LTE solution. The next use case is the EdgeOne as a WAN selector. So if you, let's say, for example, you don't have any sort of IT hardware on the vessel, let's say you don't have a firewall, you don't have a router, and you want to get started with the K4 equipment, the EdgeOne is a great way to get started, because it can take in multiple WAN sources, and it has support for all the necessary security features like advanced DPI and QoS and all of those things. This would be a great unit to get started with. So as you can see, we can support up to 3 WAN sources. So you can have the VSAT, you can have Wi-Fi, you can have LTE. All that stuff is possible. Generally, you're going to see this type of setup on smaller vessels, but it could work for larger vessels as well if you only have a handful of WAN sources to plug in. So as a reminder, the K4 EdgeOne, it runs the same KaaS software as some of our larger hardware products like the Edge server. So you're going to get a lot of the same feature set, just at a lower price point. So that is the EdgeOne as a WAN selector. One more use case here before we wrap up, and that is using the EdgeOne for out-of-band management. So if you manage a fleet of vessels and you're looking for a way to have a way to manage those out of band, the EdgeOne is a great solution for that, because we have multiple WAN sources and we have support for the K4 Connect software. This would be a great use case. So the K4 Connect software supports automatic service discovery. So a lot of times on your vessel network, or any network in general, because you see this problem in networking in general, is you don't realize how much stuff is actually on the network after a while. People may bring on new devices or new equipment. You have things, crew members taking things off the vessel, adding phones. So the automatic service discovery, what it'll allow you to do is we scan the network and we try to understand what IP addresses are on the network, and then what are some of the common ports that are being used by those devices. So we'll find things that are on port 80, we'll find things that are running a web server or any other popular service ports. And then we present that to you in a dashboard so that you can easily find those devices and connect to them. So you don't need to automatically or manually add those devices into the UI. Okay. So you could also use this for out-of-band upgrades to your VSAT. Let's say, you need to do a VSAT upgrade and you want to do that without losing connectivity and you don't have any other WAN options. The EdgeOne LTE is a great use case because you can come in through the LTE network, connect to the VSAT modem and install and do the upgrade that you need, and watch the unit all the way through that upgrade without losing connectivity. Okay. So you can use the physical interface on the EdgeOne to plug into the your LAN network. So if you have an open port on your LAN switch, feel free to connect the LAN port there. You could also use Wi-Fi on the EdgeOne as well. And so you don't have to plug in any cables. And so that makes it fairly flexible as well, because then you could just join your local LAN Wi-Fi if you have that going. And now you can have this installed somewhere where you have great signal as well. So very, very flexible. We already talked about the lightweight Windows app. In the future, we're going to have web links that you can share out to vendors. So for example, if you have like a Viking refrigerator or something and you need to have Viking come in and support that, you can create them a link, share that link with them, and then after 24, 48 hours, whatever you set the shareable time for, that link will go ahead and not work after that time period is up. So these are just three different ways that you can use the EdgeOne on your vessel. So in the future, we'll be coming out and publish a few more use cases as well. So just to recap, we've covered, what is KaaS. We've covered gone over and done an overview of the EdgeOne and its hardware design, gone through the WAN and LAN management. We've gone through different use cases as a WAN selector or a dedicated LTE solution, or even for out-of-band management. So why don't we go ahead and open it up for questions now. So let's see if we have anything. I think we got one here. It says, what is the typical range on the wireless router? Is there a mesh option for larger vessels? So there's no mesh options today. And the wireless router, it's a good question. Brian, do you want to take that one on the range of that?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it uses the standard. It uses an Intel chipset, the 11AC chipset with standard power output. So it depends on the antennas utilized. If you use the antenna, the Wi-Fi antenna directly attached to the EdgeOne, it really then depends on where the EdgeOne is located. The antennas we provide are small dipole antennas. But if you run an external antenna, let's say if you want to connect to marina Wi-Fi, connecting to the entire marina is not an issue. Within hundreds of feet is not a problem at all. But on vessel, with all the obstructions and blockages, cetera. It's more of a challenge, and then that's where like a mesh or a distributed Wi-Fi system is needed. But we have vessels use it both ways, both local access, for access point usage and connectivity for smaller vessels. They'll just connect to it, maybe add one more AP for below deck or something. And then we've also, for larger vessels, they'll use it for marina access and connect typically a couple of dipole antennas, a top boat or a monopole design as well. So both work well.
All right.
Hi, everyone. This is Robert from K4 Mobility. There's a question that sort of pertains to that a little bit, and maybe you can expand on that, Brian. There's a question that says, does K4 supply additional external antennas for the EdgeOne, and which antennas are approved?
Yeah. We do provide, in the photo shown by Justin, you can see we provide two small dipole antennas, little whips. They can be extended out, so there's no reason why you can't buy extension cables and mount those elsewhere. As you know, you can use RF cables depending on the type of RF cable, typically the size, the thickness of the cable. There'll be some dB loss per foot, which can be very meaningful for 5 gigahertz in particular, where, in 50 feet, you can lose 20 to 30 dB reliably just in the cable. So external antennas, we do recommend, it really depends on the application, like what you're trying to do will drive the deployment design. We support both locally terminated, and that's what we provide, or remote connectivity too, so running RF cables and connecting it remotely. We support both options, and our installation documentation has some literature on it, but also our field teams will support you, or NOC will support you on the options you prefer.
Yeah, and I think also, just to clarify, we don't actually supply any large sort of external type antenna, but we can work with you to recommend. We've got use cases with vessels that have used, the regular available Wi-Fi antennas, such as Shakespeare, Comrod, digital antenna, pointing, etc. Yeah, other brands are available. But yeah, so we've got very good successful use cases using multiple off-the-shelf omnidirectional antennas.
Yep.
Another question really regarding setup and hardware here is, what SIMs are compatible with the unit?
I can take a crack at that. So K4 supports both our K4 SIMs, and we have nominally 7, you could argue 8 service providers globally. Those are supported, of course, and have service plans that are integrated. But also you can use third-party SIMs, not a problem. We have a lot of customers that do that, and we support a whole wide variety of SIMs. A lot of European SIMs, KPN, Vodafone, Free. List goes pretty far. But in the U.S., there's also several Caribbean SIMs that are utilized widely. In the Caribbean, not a problem. Sometimes they're the same SIM that we offer, but from a different provider, from a different SIM provider. Those all work as well. And our system has no issues, operating with third-party SIMs or our SIMs. They operate just the same. Fully configurable. So you can configure APNs, username, passwords, element selection and sets. All those things work in the system.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Another, I guess this was one of the earlier questions from what's in the box. Justin, can you go back over the USB to Ethernet and what that's used for, or what the use cases are for that?
Absolutely. So the USB to Ethernet adapter, you can use it for VSAT management. That's typically where we use it when we do an install for a client. But with our latest software release, if you needed an additional LAN interface, you could use the USB to Ethernet for that as well. Or if you needed a WAN interface, with our flexible interfaces, you can change the use for that USB to Ethernet adapter.
It's just, essentially, the hardware solution has 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and so we have multiple USB 3 and 2 ports. So for more deployment flexibility for management or even WAN usage, the system supports the USB to Ethernet interfaces if you're in a pinch. We also, of course, have an edge server, et cetera, and other products that have many more Ethernet interfaces as well. We do support trunking on our WAN and LAN interfaces, so you can essentially connect the EdgeOne to a switch and have trunks going out for WAN or LAN, and then break those out with the switch, break it out to access ports or any number of WAN sources or LAN sources. So it just provides another tool in the tool chest for the deployment and operators. So that's what we do it.
Great, thanks, Justin. Thanks, Brian. A similar topic here is, what's the maximum WAN/LAN interfaces available on the EdgeOne?
I can take a crack at it. The maximum number of WAN interfaces in our 6.4 release are 12 WAN interfaces. Prior to 6.4, which 6.4 is being released right now, was 6. So we doubled it. And then LAN interfaces, there's no like hard limit on the number of LAN networks. Currently, we normally say 30 access networks, but there's no like hard limit saying it couldn't be 100. But obviously, at some point, the performance of the system could degrade if as you add many more networks. Commonly, we see in the range of 5 small vessels, 2 to 3 networks, on larger vessels in the range of 20 to 30. That's what we see, and we support those on all our platforms.
Yeah, great. And to clarify on that, Brian, so obviously access networks or VLANs, we can support many over a trunk port.
Yep.
And then I believe with the 6.4 release, we could essentially have 2 physical LAN ports, correct?
Correct.
So okay.
Yeah, you can have more than even 2. You could have 3 LAN ports, and they're bridged, and the VLANs can be added to each of them individually. So that's supported. And then WAN ports, you can have multiple WAN ports, or a single WAN port with a trunk that goes to a switch, where the switch breaks out to access ports, because many WAN systems don't support trunking, but some do. So we support that as well in 6.4. So 6.4 adds kind of this huge amount of flexibility in LAN port usage and WAN port. You can intermingle them, so you can have multiple LAN ports, and we've always had multiple WAN ports, and then you can do access or trunk ports on either. So it provides an extreme amount of flexibility on how you want to deploy it.
Perfect, thank you. And then one last question here. It's a little bit longer question. It says here, on the Connect application, what protocols does it support? And do you need Connect on each node or device on board the vessel? So Justin, you want to have a stab at that one?
Sure. Yeah, so Connect supports any TCP based protocol. But in the UI, you'll see a drop down for things like SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't still just take that port and use things like RDP or other protocols that you may need, as long as they are TCP based. And so you don't need any client on any of the devices on the network. You only need the server software, which comes with every K4 product. And then you need the client software on your laptop. And so the way it works is you will use either a web browser to access the device, like let's say a refrigerator or a laptop or something. You'll typically use a browser, or if you have a protocol like RDP, just use your standard RDP client and change the port number to what the app gives you. So if it changes the port to, the standard port is 3389. So if it creates 6389, then use that port instead, and then the RDP protocol will work.
I think one thing we can do as well is to the team here, we can add to this discussion, we can add an example connecting to using the Connect application and then connecting to an onboard system. We could demonstrate like SSH, we could demonstrate a web interface, and also demonstrate RDP, and just add that video clip, desktop video clip to the talk here, so you get to see how it works.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Actually, we use Connect a lot internally to support our clients. Myself, I've used it numerous times. For those of you that are familiar with VSAT systems, used it for Intelliant Aptus, so I basically have direct access and just using the port translation and able to connect through to a VSAT antenna, or even CTEL DAC REMP or something like that, which I know is getting a bit long in the tooth, but it's nice to have that connectivity on your desktop without having to go through a third-party support tool such as AnyDesk or TeamViewer and disturbing the vessel crew. So really great use on Connect is for the out-of-band management and support of the additional equipment that the K4 Edge device can see, either LAN or WAN. We've also used it to connect through to maybe another cellular router that's connected to our device. We could have another cellular router as a third-party device as another WAN connection, and you can get through using Connect to administer that too. So pretty powerful, and I concur with Brian here. We should probably put that on a future webinar to show you guys some of the functionality. Okay, that's it for the questions that come through in the Q&A. So I'll hand back to you, Jared, for the wrap.
Great. Well, thanks everyone. Really appreciate your time. And as usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to sales and visit our website. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day.